Hello, everyone. As we are discussing about management accounting exam kit questions, let's continue further. Today's topic will take it from primary and secondary data. So, the questions, the explanation about primary and secondary data sources of data, we already have them included in the earlier videos. Please follow them. But today we'll continue with the MCQs, the questions from exam kit Kaplan series. Okay, sources of data. Question number 18. The first question, question number 18, under this topic, sources of data, the first question, which of the following describes secondary data? Any data which is collected by the person for the first time, first hand information, that would be called as primary data. If someone has already collected the data and it is available for use for other people, then it is called as secondary data. Okay. So now in this case, we have four options given. We are asked to find out or understand which one of the following describe the secondary data. Data that provide does not provide any information. So if it does not provide any information, we are not even considering that. Data collected from another person, data collected specifically for the purpose of survey being undertaken, data collected by post or telephone, not by personal interview. Okay. So now in this case, what are we to understand? See, it is collected by someone else. Okay. It is collected by someone else in some other context for some other purpose. So that is the answer what we have to choose it. See, anyway, A is not the right answer. We have already understood. Now, what should we do? It is collected for another purpose, has to be selected. Why not C and D? That also let's quickly understand that. Data collected specifically for the purpose of the survey being undertaken. So, purpose of the purpose is there's some amount of data that has to be collected and there is a survey conducted and directly it is collected. So that becomes a primary data, not a secondary data. So this becomes primary data, not secondary. Data collected, see whether what is the mode through which they are collecting doesn't matter. It could be through post, it could be telephone, it could be personal, it could be anything. But anybody who's collecting for the first time, that will be called as a primary data, not secondary data. Okay. So on that note, C and D are not the right options. Now the right answer for this one is B. 19th says, which of the following are primary sources of data and which are secondary sources of data? So we see data collected outside a polling station regarding voters' choice. So now outside a polling station, and then who are the respondents? The respondents are voters. Okay, so directly it is reaching out to the voters and then find out something about them. So their choice is what is asked and that is what is found. So here we choose this one as the answer. An internet search for the cheapest fuel in the area. So internet, whatever is already uploaded in that is already collected by someone else. See, on the internet, there is a poll is a different thing, but there is some data available is a different thing. Since the cheapest fuel available is already present on the internet, which means to say that it was already collected by someone and published here or posted on the internet. On that note, that becomes a secondary data. Okay. Government statistics on the level of unemployment, government has collected this and then this data is published. So this becomes a secondary data. Data collected by observation on the number of cars flowing through a junction during peak travel hours. Data collected by observation. So what are they observing? On the number of cars flowing through a junction. So live, whatever is happening at that point where they are standing through a junction, at the junction, whatever, the number of cars that are flowing through that junction during peak travel hours, somebody by observation, that information is collected. So that becomes primary, first hand. Okay, so this is primary. I hope that's clear. Then we move forward to 20th question. When gathering information, you would use both internal sources of information and external sources of information. See, data is available internally also. That is, see, if there are various records maintained by various departments in the organization. For example, a stores department will have the record of the material that is received by the department and the number of units that are issued to production department. Production department also will have its own set of records talking about how many units of raw material was received, how many of them were converted into finished goods, how many of them were still in the semi-finished or work in progress stage, and what type of material is used, etc. So those details would be there. HR department will have the count of employees, what type of jobs are assigned to them. So likewise, internally, various departments have their own records and registers and accounts maintained. So there is some information available internally. Apart from that, from various stakeholders external to the organization, data is available. Various stakeholders, whether they are connected or not connected. See, we see that there are this information available outside also. So in this case, we are asked which of the following are examples of external information. So somebody who's not part of the organization, the stakeholder is an external entity, and from them, if there is any kind of an information collected, we would call that to be as external information. Trade references, sales representatives knowledge, a credit agency report, bank reference. So out of this, first we have to understand that who among them is external entity and who among them is internal entity. Trade references, trade unions. Trade unions are external entity. They are not part of the organization. Sales representative is an employee of the organization. Credit rating agency, which does the rating, rates the organization. So credit rating agency is an external entity and bank is definitely an external entity. So out of that, only one is someone internal in the organization. So any kind of an information which is provided by internal parties will not be part of external information. All other things, that is trade references, we see external entity, then credit rating agency, credit agency report, bank references. See, these three things are 1, 3, and 4 are examples of external information. So D is the right answer. Then we see 21st question. When gathering information on a potential client, you can use both internal sources of information and external source of information. Which two? Two have to be selected. Two of the following would be classified as internally generated information. So supplier is an external, she is a connected stakeholder. So supplier is the one who supplies material, the vendor who supplies material to the organization. Credit reference agency reports are also external. Sales information, the number of units sold, those details will be available with sales department. Okay. And then based on the financial information or financial statements prepared by the organization, if ratios are calculated. So from this, we see that C and D are the right options. Which two of the following we see that C and D internal. So that will become part of internally generated information. 22 says, which of the following is an example of external information that could be used in management accounting system? Okay. We are talking about external information this time. Consumer price index, consumer price index statistics, price list of the products sold by the business, production volume achieved by the production department, discounts given to the customers. CBC, B, C, and D, all three of them are internal information. That is, what is the price list of their products sold by the business, their own products. So it is internal data. How many units is the production department producing is internal data. Discounts given, it's a strategy to increase the sales or attract the customers by way of giving discount to the customers. So this is these all three, B, C, and D, all three of them are internal decisions or internal information that is available. Consumer price index statistics. So consumer price index is the index numbers that are calculated by the statistics department. Okay. on requirement by the government, it is done about when the prices are increasing in the economy, what is that increase, the price increase index is calculated by statistics department. Bureau of Statistics will calculate this, see, on the requirement by the government. So this is completely external. So A is the right answer. 23, when we look at 23, which of the following are examples of sensor or machine data? So let's understand what is the sensor or machine data. Okay. See, location data from a mobile phone, temperature data from thermometers in a freezer, information from social media regarding advertisements. See, when data is collected, data could be collected from first-hand information, that is approaching people. Data can be collected. Already somebody has collected and it is used, so that becomes secondary data. We see that there is an example of sensor machine data. Um, what do we see is sometimes some of the devices that are connected to internet or connected to Wi-Fi, there is some data recorded in certain devices. They can be operated remotely, and some amount of data gets recorded in these devices. Okay, so from we are talking about what is that data which is recorded in the devices which can be remotely managed. That is what is the meaning of sensor or machine data. Okay. See, we have location data from a mobile phone. Mobile phone is a device in which when it is connected to the internet, some amount of data is collected. It automatically gets recorded in that and is collected, and we can use that data. Okay, location data from a mobile phone. So where is the I mean the location in which this particular device is there, it gets registered, because if there is an app which talks about the current location data, we can we can collect that from the mobile phone. So that is a sensor or a machine data. Temperature data from thermometers in a freezer. That is also, see, when I mean in the freezer we see that there is some. So what is the condition there? What is the temperature which is set? That can be understood. That number would be displayed there, and it can be understood. So here we see that 1 and 2 are the cases. 1 and 2 is in C. Let's continue with 24. 24th question says that which one of the following is an example of internal information from the wages department of a large company? Wages department of a large company. So here we see that a code of practice issued by the Institute of Directors, a new national minimum wage, okay, changes to tax coding arrangements issued by the tax authorities, the company's employees schedule of hours worked. See, we are talking about internal information, and that would be related to wages department of a large company. If we are talking about a code of practice issued by the Institute of Directors, so we do not connect this to something related to wages. It is code of conduct. What are the policies and procedure, the conduct which has to be, which can be expected from the employees in the organization, something related to that. Okay. So what is the organization, the system that has to prevail in the organization, something related to that. So definitely this is not about wages. The second one talks about a new national minimum wage. New national minimum wage is decided by the government. Government is an external entity. So any such thing, any piece of information related to minimum wages is related to wages, but definitely it is external. It is not internal. So there are 2 points that we have to remember. One should be internal, one should be internal information, one should be from the wages department. Okay. So though it is related to wages, it is not an internal information. So on that note, we would rule it out. Changes to tax coding arrangements issued by tax authorities. So this has to do with tax authorities, external entity not connected to wages. Then the fourth one talks about the company's employee schedule of work, hours work. Depending on number of hours worked, they would be calculating the wages to be paid to the workers. So this is completely the work of wages department of an organization. So we choose D as the right answer. Then going forward, 25th question. WPLC is wishing survey its staff regarding new working from home practices. WPLC intends to use an online questionnaire that all staff are expected to complete to gather information. Completing the questionnaire will take approximately 15 minutes, and staff have been told that they must do this during their breaks. The cost of producing this information has been identified as paying for a consultant to produce the questionnaire. We are asked to find out what's the cost of producing this information. So when information has to be collected, normally we see that information most of the time, if it is secondary information, it is available free of cost. In rare cases, we also see that in certain cases, we also see that secondary information has to be acquired at a cost. But if they are involved in collecting the data, whatever surveys are to be conducted, feedback has to be collected, in these cases, cost has to be incurred to acquire the information. To gather the information, cost has to be acquired. Cost has to be incurred. I'm really sorry. Cost has to be incurred to acquire the data. The following cost of producing this information has been identified as paying for a consultant to produce the questionnaire, paying wages for people to email staff with instructions on how to complete the survey, loss of staff morale due to loss of break time, delays caused in other parts of the business due to staff filing in the survey when they should be working. Which of these costs would be considered as direct costs? Technically speaking, all of them are costs. Okay. See, let's understand this one. Direct cost is a cost which is identified with a cost object. Okay. See, what is the cost object? The act of collecting information. Okay. Cost of producing this information. What's that information? What is the way, the mode through which they're collecting? They're collecting data through an online questionnaire. Okay, so an online questionnaire is used to collect the data. So staff are expected to complete this data during their break times, etc. Okay. Complete the questionnaire will take 15 minutes, and that has to be done during the break. First one, paying for a consultant to produce the. So direct cost is which is identified. Can you identify this cost? Paying consultant some remuneration, can we identify this with the function or the activity of collecting data through questionnaires? Yes, because consultant is the one who's producing the questionnaire. So direct identifiability is there, therefore it's a direct cost. Second, paying wages for people to email staff with instructions. So somebody is there, staff are there, employed to email these questionnaires in the way in which the survey has to be completed. This one also would be called as a direct cost. This is anyway identified as a cost related to collecting information through online questionnaires. What about third one? Third one is loss of staff morale due to loss of break time. What happens? Loss of morale. See, they are demotivated because their free time is used to collect the data, so they are demotivated. That's perfectly fine. That impact will be see eventually on their work, and their productivity will be affected. So that will cost the organization. But can be directly identifiability is now not there. It is over a period of time the impact or the effect will be seen, but is it directly identified with the function or the activity of collecting the data? No. Okay. So when the productivity is affected, when the quality of work gets affected, it is a loss for the business. Definitely it's done. But at the moment, the activity of collecting information with which we are not able to identify this one. Therefore, it is not a direct cost. Next. delays caused in other parts of the business due to staff failing in the survey when they should be working. So other parts of the business, see, we do not have that identifiability. That will be considered as an overhead, because some work is delayed in another part of the business, in another part of the same business. So there, whatever we see, that is attributed now, but it is not identified with the activity of collecting the data through online questionnaires. Okay, so on that note, whatever is the impact which we see, that is also a cost, but it will be counted as an overhead, not a direct cost. 26th question, we'll do this one and we'll wind up this particular video. The following costs relate to management accounting information for Kite Company for April 2008. We have different costs given. We are asked to find out what were the total direct data capture cost, for Kite Company for April 2008. Okay, let's understand the list of cost first. We have the first item, employee time spent filling in their timesheets. Okay, then that is 600. Use of barcodes and scanners to record inventory, storage of sales information no longer needed, and time taken by staff to input data into production system. We want a total direct data capture cost. To capture this data, what are the costs that are incurred? Okay, we have a list of 4 items. Okay, employee time spent filling in their timesheet 600. See, this is direct cost. Okay, the data that is filled in the timesheets, and the worker, the employee who's there, who's paid some cost, is 600. That will be use of barcodes and scanners to record inventory also. Okay, we are talking about accounting for the data, or entering the data. Okay, so direct data capture cost. Fine. Storage of sales information no longer needed. See, data is there, and then that data, when it is not needed, that would be deleted. Step number 1 is, for data has to be captured. This data then has to be processed. On processing, it becomes in a usable format. This usable data, then it will be analyzed. Some inferences are drawn based on which decisions are taken. So these are the steps that take place. After a while, when this data becomes old or outdated, then a decision will be taken about whether to keep that data or delete that data. So here we are talking about some old data which was earlier collected. Storing that data, storage of sales information no longer needed. Is it now that they are capturing? No, they are not capturing it now. So that will not be counted. Time taken by staff to input data into production system. So once the data is already available, later on that is taken to production system. They are not directly capturing the data. So that way, this becomes an indirect cost, not a direct cost. Okay. So we have only 2 items. Both the items added together, we have 600 plus 200 would be 800, and B is the right answer. Okay. We'll meet in the next video with another topic. Okay. Good day.